welcome back to the Sasquatch Squirrel Show. We alluded to the flat Earth on the last episode.
Uh-huh.
So let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Do you think that the Earth is flat?
No. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, X, True Social, iHeartRadio, and Amazon. Thanks for listening.
Wait. We have to do the episode. Stop the music.
No, we really don't. There's plenty of it. All right, we'll do it. Let's go.
Your year-end review, sir, is just going to be terrible. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that now.
Well, so's yours. Just insubordination everywhere.
No, I will admit that the research for this episode right here was just, it hurt my head so bad that I actually had to find smart shit to listen to like kind of wash out the bullshit.
Yeah.
But, let's just power through this horse shit.
Yeah, it's like, I want, and I don't want to demean anybody that actually believes this, because God bless you. You're just severely misinformed.
I agree.
There's so much scientific based evidence that the Earth is spherical. I mean, seasons, hurricanes. I mean, the fact that you're, this is hurting my head.
Well, all right. Have you ever seen that quote unquote map that they're using to claim that this is the flat Earth?
Yeah, the one from like the 15th century.
Yeah, it's like the disc or whatever the fuck that has the center point of the map, which is the northmost point.
Right.
And then all around the edge is Antarctica.
Right.
Now, according to these people, these misguided people, they want to say that Antarctica is guarded by the world's military and will kill you and arrest you if you decide to go to Antarctica. Well, there's a treaty signed with all the countries basically saying that we're not going to use Antarctica to use it as a dumping ground.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Everyone knows it's the Antarctica Treaty.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, man. This is just, I feel that, I'm just going to go ahead and say it now, but I just think that this, round versus flat is just another distraction to keep us, you know what's free anywhere, anytime, any place?
What's that?
Gullibility.
I agree. I think what we need to do is go over a few things that's going to be highlighting some of their proofs.
Right.
And then we're going to just debunk the shit out of it because honestly, it's just garbage.
Right.
But, okay. So we've already went over the model of their quote unquote flat Earth. It's basically, to them, it's the world's largest snow globe.
Mm-hmm.
And, and if you think about that map that they use, if you cut a ball from one point and flatten it all the way out,
right,
it's basically the same damn thing.
Yeah. Back in, like 800 BC, people believed the Earth was flat because they would look at their village and then, or wherever they were, and it would just look, that's people back then didn't travel very far.
Right.
So when things look flat, they just think, oh, it's flat, but they're not like delving into it too deep because they're worrying about how to irrigate their crops.
Right.
You didn't go past your own nose on a lot of stuff back then. And people just accepted it as truth and moved on about their day.
Or some people actually used to pray that the sun would rise every morning,
Right, exactly. And also, and that in itself, because if the Earth was flat, there would be no day or no night. The sun would always be visible.
Well, they got an explanation for that too.
Of course they do. It's just,
they say that we live in a simulation.
Right. Well, a lot of people believe that too. I don't know what, my thing is I have too much to worry about other than worrying if the Earth is flat or not, even though there's, I don't know, millions, if not billions of pictures that proves it wrong. Like, and when they went up to space, now yet again, you'll see someone who denies the moon landing. They took the blue marble photo,
mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's a perfectly round circle, people want to believe what they want to believe. But anyways, let's think about their theories as you brought up a little bit before.
Yeah. One of the things to start off with would be the Zetetic astronomy or cosmology that believes the Earth is stationary and the Earth is not a sphere orbiting the sun. it's a very misinformed model that actually argues anything against the mainstream science.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about science and theories is, yes, science can be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Theories can be wrong. Now, laws cannot be wrong in science.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, like the laws of physics. Those are pretty tight laws.
Yeah, and you know, we're always learning different things about science, and every time that they thought that a physics law was busted, it's mainly because there was something else that was acting upon it, and they didn't understand it at the time. For example, not too long ago, we didn't know that was any more planets past Saturn, and then it was Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, and
Mm-hmm.
now they think there's even another planet that's even further out that we don't even know about, and Planet Nine, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That could be another episode as well.
They don't particularly believe in the Big Bang Theory, which is fine. It's their prerogative to do so. But what I will tell you is there's been telescopic proof that the universe is constantly expanding.
Yeah.
It's always they're still forming, and the flat earthers don't believe that. And they conveniently never give you an explanation as to what or why they believe things.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent because I used to do stuff very similar to the things when I didn't understand things.
Right.
But then when I start educating myself on there, then I had to correct myself on things.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest misconceptions is politics.
Right.
And what happens when you don't understand something? The first thing it does, it ignites enragement.
Yeah.
Like I didn't understand politics. Then when I start to talk politics and like somebody would ask me a simple question, I used to explode. And then I started thinking about things and I was like, you know what? I have no reason to explode because the whole reason why I'm mad is because they asked a question and I didn't know it. And then I got embarrassed.
Of course. And that's the way it usually goes.
Right. And I honestly think that these people are so afraid of being wrong that they're going to defend it to the death, no matter how much proof you give these people.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some of these hardcore some bitches out there that think that, their shit doesn't stink. They're right no matter what. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, they couldn't be more wrong. Like, I'm not even going to mention some of the names of some of these fuckwits because honestly, they're not even worth my time even talking about.
Right.
However, uh, one of the groups was out there, they were doing an experiment, and what they were going to do was prove that the earth is not flat because we're going to set this ship up and we're going to sail it out in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And the theory is if the earth is flat, then these lines that they drew on the sails will not disappear and they'll stay there.
Right.
And you could see the boat no matter how far out you go,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
So they had binoculars and all types of stuff out there ready to go, and the ship starts sailing, and then you start seeing it go. And as the ship got further and further out, you start seeing it dip down below.
Yeah.
And they argued that, nope, it's refraction, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you guys will find anything. And granted, we live in America and it's a
Mm-hmm.
free society. I mean, you got freedom of speech, you
Mm-hmm.
got freedom to think what you want.
Right.
However, when you are highly misinformed and you refuse to get your education because
Mm-hmm.
you think that it's some kind of government conspiracy that they're trying to prove you wrong. And granted, I don't mind people having conspiracy theories as long as they're real, but
Of course.
you have to understand there is a spot when you have to just give it up, Of
You ever watch Family Guy?
course.
It's one of the earlier seasons. There was a scene where Peter is talking to a donkey,
Oh, yeah.
and it was about Kevin Bacon being in Footloose. Everybody knows Kevin Bacon was in Footloose. And he goes,
No, he wasn't.
yeah, exactly. And he's like, no, he wasn't. Yeah, yeah. And that's exactly how these flat earthers sound.
Yeah, they're just making an ass out of themselves,
Literally. And it's like, dude, they're just heads like anvils. And it's because, like you said, I think you alluded to it earlier on, that they don't want to feel wrong. Because no one wants to be wrong about anything. And because no one, most people aren't adult enough to admit when they're wrong.
Right.
And so why would this be any different?
Right. And here's another reason why I have proof to this cause is because I was a high school dropout. And I didn't want I was so against going back to school because I was just so fucking done with it, right? I hated it. I hated people. I didn't want to deal with anybody. I didn't want to deal with the bullshit, the work. I didn't care about it. I just wanted to work and play music, and I didn't care about anything else but music. Well,
Yeah.
that didn't work out.
Right.
Well, I got married. My wife forced me to get my education, and I was pissed about that. But that turned out to be the best thing for me because I've never been more informed and more of a sponge in thinking and absorbing all the knowledge out there. And dude, when they say that whole adage of knowledge is power, fuck yes, it
Yeah, it
is.
is. And plus because it makes it to where you can liberate your mind from groupthink.
Yeah,
If you're like when I went to school, but listen, I grew up as a very religious person, and not that I've gotten away from it, I still believe, but I'm not as, dependent upon it as some people are. But
right.
when you educate yourself, you're freeing yourself from that sheep. And I'm not calling flat Earth people sheep at all. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that that you get this, you get this group think, and it's, just because a bunch of people think it's true doesn't necessarily mean it's right, you know, and especially if your science is off,
Yeah, absolutely.
right.
Well, here's a thought too.
Hmm.
You know, there's a group of people out there that follow a leader. The leader is ultimately wrong,
Hmm.
and they find out that the leader is ultimately wrong, and they later on figure out they're fucked.
I mean,
We
there's.
had an episode on cults earlier, and
Hmm.
you can easily do your research on cults and see how quickly you can figure out you're wrong in that type of situation.
Right, and it's like, I mean, about 75 years ago, a whole bunch of people believed one dude was right, led to a
Hmm.
second world war. Look how wrong he
Yup.
fucking was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, buddy.
So, I mean, it doesn't come much more wronger. And for those of you wondering, I'm talking about Hitler.
Yeah.
But just because the masses believe it doesn't make it true either. But I consider myself a person of faith and a man of science. I think that they can kind of coalesce, and where science kind of falls, faith can fill the gaps a little bit. We have so much empirical data that proves that this point is ridiculous. From images from, like I said before, telescopes or whatever. And I just can't in this day and age believe that someone would think that the earth is flat. It with all the information out there, it just boggles my mind.
So, do you have any other their proofs of why they think the Earth is flat?
Besides too much fluoride in their toothpaste? No. I mean, I don't no, I can't, like, I literally can't wrap my head around it. How about you?
I mean, there's a few things that they say, but like, man, I'll tell you that this stuff actually hurt my head so bad
Mhm.
trying to listen to it, and it was really hard for me to even like go down this rabbit hole
Mhm.
because it was just so terrible. And like for example, they think people who believe in science are following what they call scientism,
Oh,
not to be confused with the other S word,
yeah. Okay. Scientism?
scientism, or people who believe in science. Well,
Okay.
as I said, I went and got my education, did a little bit of physics study, and I had a terrible teacher.
Yeah.
But I will say that that's the whole reason why I dropped out of physics, and also that's some smart shit to learn. But if you was to do a little bit of math and like do all that math leading up to it, do the first year of calculus, and then you take that first year of physics,
Mhm.
you would be super impressed with your knowledge.
Of course.
At least basic science.
Yeah.
That right there, basic science. And on top of that, chemistry. If you
Mhm.
really want to learn anything about science, chemistry, physics, math. Those three things together, amazing. They all work well together,
Yeah.
and you can go really far with basic understanding.
Right.
So we mentioned refraction. That's one of the things that they say that's the whole reason why you can't see further off.
Right.
The scientism thing, or people who believe in science, the Zetetic astronomy, which is where that's basically their Bible that came up with all this stupid shit.
Right.
They don't believe in gravity. They think it's all electromagnetism that's actually keeping you like on the earth.
Yeah, that's another one that makes me want to just dig out my eyes with a melon baller. It's like I just don't understand, like,
I'll
'cause
watch.
yeah, of course you would, you dick. But no, no, what was it? Like gravity, it's one of the most basic scientific things on the planet. What goes up must come down. And they were
Mhm.
saying that it's because of the air and the light. And first off, light has no bearing on mass, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. So years ago, there was a scrub tech I used to work with, and when we set up for like a large orthopedic case, we have a rep in the room because he is a representative of the company that we're using. So, for example, I'm not going to mention any names, but so rep from company A, he brings a laser pointer, right? And he points at what we need so we can put it together because it's, people that know it's a complex thing. So there was a scrub tech I used to work with who believed that the light wasn't sterile, and if it was touching the instrumentation, his back table was contaminated.
Okay.
And I said,
I mean, that's a stretch.
exactly. I'm like, so what about the fluorescent lights above our head?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of ridiculous mentality is how I feel about flat earthers. And it's like, I don't mean to take a dump on the guy, but Terrence Howard, the stuff, or Terrence Howard, ever how you say his name, the stuff that guy believes is kooky as hell. He was just on the JRE with him and what was that, Weinstein? Am I saying that right?
Eric Weinstein.
Yeah, and they were like, dude, you are so off. And then they weren't mean to him, but he's like, well, how does 1+1 = 1? And he's like, and they explained it to him. And it's like,
Mhm.
those people that have this idea of, some outer limits type of thinking,
Yeah.
those are dangerous motherfuckers. You know what I mean?
I watched that guy, and now as much as am not a huge fan of Neil deGrasse Tyson, and it's mainly political, it's nothing really that he knows.
Right.
Um, but it's like I watched a video of Neil deGrasse Tyson commenting on a paper that Terrence Howard wrote to him to see if he can get any backing on his paper. Well,
Mm-hmm.
he wrote through it like in red as doing a peer review journal would,
Yeah.
and basically gave him every point where he felt he was wrong.
Right.
And in the science community, that's what you want to do, because a lot of people think that just because they have a thought,
Makes it
a lot
right.
of people think just because they have a thought, it makes them right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't want to demean anybody for thinking outside of the box. But
No, absolutely not.
when you're doing something like, when it's just the basics of,
Hmm.
science,
Yeah.
just leave well enough alone. Like I was saying off air, there's more important things to worry about right now.
Yeah. Going back to the whole Neil deGrasse Tyson and like the whole scientific paper thing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's the same thing in politics. It's like you have somebody who finds some quote unquote evidence,
Right.
and they're basically headline readers. They don't do any kind of deep dive into anything. They just accept the surface conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so and so did something.
Which most people are,
Right.
and that's the thing, is that most people they just don't want, because they don't want to take the time to get
Right.
like really involved in it, and they just want to get the cliff notes and move on, and that way they can have their water cooler talk, and then sound like they're smart. That's how I feel about it.
Absolutely. And granted, yes, we are in a super busy world.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Super busy.
Well, it's definitely fast paced. That if you're not moving, it's definitely going to pass you by. But that's no excuse not to take a beat. And if it's something that truly interests you, take a beat and research it and be smart about it.
Right. And I had to learn that myself.
Mm-hmm.
But, a lot of people just take that information off the top,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't want to research it anymore because of whatever they think
It's
they're right.
Well, it's also
And
I don't mean to cut you off, but it's also 100% laziness on people's part too.
right, there's that old adage of don't muddy up my opinions with your facts.
Right. Yeah. Everybody wants to believe what they want to believe, and they want to be right, and it's not always the case.
I honestly think that, we don't really need to go much further on this in this discussion because
No.
we both feel that it's wrong. That's fine. Believe what you want.
Yeah, 100%. And I listen. I am all for personal freedom of belief, but just don't, like, It's a lot like religion. Just keep it, don't push your beliefs on somebody else. Life's hard enough. And we don't really necessarily, think of something more important to discuss. Maybe you can actually come to a solution with something, you know?
And that's the whole thing. What you just said right there was perfect. Don't push your beliefs, regardless of what it is,
Yeah.
on other people.
Yeah. Like,
Now, can you discuss it? And if it influences somebody,
Mhm.
then if you inspire somebody to think outside of the box, great. I mean, those arguments are needed in religion. Those arguments, and when I say argument, I mean discussion.
yeah, debate. Like, so real quick, I'll end my part of this show with this. I have a very good friend. His name is Steve. He is a Norse Germanic pagan. I am a non-denominational Christian. And him and I have had some of the best conversations about religion I've ever had in my life. Because I can respect what he believes. He respects what I believe. And that's how it should be. Now granted, we don't believe in the same things, and that's fine.
Mhm.
And that's what makes us unique as individuals. And that goes with anything. Like sometimes and that's how wars start over disagreements.
People not knowing how to really communicate and how to live with difference of opinion.
Yeah, and it's like, well, you're just being mean because you don't want to see things the way that I see it. It's not the case at all. Because it's like I told somebody one time a bunch of years ago. I said there are many avenues to the same destination.
Right. All roads lead to Rome, right?
Pretty much, brother.
So you were mentioning about religion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about people who had near-death experiences.
Right.
You ever heard about that?
Yeah, I've heard about it. In the NDE phenomenon.
What do you think about that being our next episode?
Sounds like a good one. Real quick, want to say thanks for listening to us and supporting us. We truly appreciate it.
All right. Well, you guys know where to find us. And as always, follow the questions.
Find the truth.
All right. We're out.